It's been raining the last few days in Toronto and it's been cloudy and totally giving me fall vibes. Not typical for June, but it is a welcome thing because we've been getting a lot of wildfires in Canada lately, so this is a good thing. Going back to last week, we had a few beautiful sunny and warm days. We got out there and tried to go to the lake as much as we could, do a little beach day. We got these awesome chairs from Costco. I will link them below. They have a built-in cooler at the bottom and then another pocket on top. And it's a backpack, so it was very convenient for us to just put those on and walk down to the lake with the dogs.
See them? They're fading too quick.
No,
They're big.
they were big. And they're gone. The water was actually pretty high at some of the first beaches we stopped at, but then we found one that we liked, so we sat down, put up our chairs, and had some drinks, and I made us some shawarma wraps from home, so we had that for lunch. Last week we also had some friends over, and I made this pavlova. I loved how it turned out. I will link the recipe I used below for you guys. I wanted to make bread today, so I started off by feeding my sourdough starter equal parts water and flour, and then I just left it on the counter until it doubled in size. So I fed this about 6 hours ago, and even though it's pretty chilly today and it's been raining all day, it doubled up pretty quick, and I had just over half in here, so that's why it's already overflowing. So I'm gonna take 100 grams of this starter. I have my scale under this bowl. So I'm gonna take some out of this, save it for pancakes, and then I'll feed it again and pop it in the fridge, and it'll stay there for a week or two until I'm ready to use it again. Take out my rings before I forget. And to this, I'm going to add 375 grams of room temperature water. Using the back of my wooden spoon, just gonna stir this up. Now I'm going to add my 500 grams of all-purpose flour or bread flour. This one is actually bread flour. Just double checked my bag. This one is bread flour, but all-purpose flour also works. Get my hands in there now. Making bread is so therapeutic. I love it. Especially on days like today where it's just cloudy and rainy and it's totally giving me autumn vibes. That's good enough. Since I had 30 minutes to spare while the dough sat, it was a great time for me to have an afternoon coffee. I love coffee, and most of the time I do end up having an afternoon coffee, or 2 or 3, depending if it's the day I work a night shift. So I made myself a latte, and I had some leftover birthday cake that I made for my niece for her 2nd birthday the previous day. So it was a great afternoon to have some coffee and cake. Now that the dough has rested for 30 minutes, it's time to add the olive oil and the water and the salt, and then just work that in until it's fully incorporated, and then we let it rest again for another 30 minutes. While we wait for those 30 minutes, it was a great time for us to walk the dog. So we walked outside, even though it's been rainy. And Zeka's not a fan of the rain, neither am I to be honest, but it's always nice to get outside. So the rain stopped and I have one more of the turns to do for the sourdough bread, and then I can leave it rising overnight and bake it tomorrow morning. But I'm gonna stop now and do a little bit of cleanup. Everything's been pretty messy. My sister had her baby last weekend, so I've been seeing them and trying to help out with that. And her toddler, yesterday was her second birthday, so I made her a cake and we had a little celebration for her. So everything kind of just been getting messy and disorganized. So I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup now so that we can have a nice evening. I still have tomorrow off before I'm back to work, because once I'm at work, I don't have time for anything else. So I'm really enjoying these couple of days of just getting to do the things I want and getting through my to-do list, or a little bit of my to-do list. There's a huge to-do list, but I'm taking it slow, one thing at a time. I'm trying to just take it easy and not overdo it, especially with this nice, cozy, rainy weather. I've been really trying to slow down today. It's been nice. Now that the bread has sat and I've done those folds every 30 minutes for 2 hours, it's time to do the final fold, where I put it in the banneton and let it rise overnight. So I dusted the banneton with some corn flour and sesame seeds that helps it keep from sticking. And then I rolled it up and put it on there, and I left it at room temperature until we went to bed for about another 3 hours, and then into the fridge overnight. Next morning, I took the dough out of the fridge, I uncovered it to take a peek, and then covered it back up and left it out for about 2 to 3 hours until it puffed up a little bit more. Yesterday I actually got lazy and did not refeed my starter. I just popped it into the fridge. So today I took it out of the fridge and I'm using that excess discard to make some pancakes for breakfast. Just adding some melted butter, a little bit of honey, an egg, and a little bit of baking soda, mixing it all together, putting it on a hot skillet, and then I put some blueberries on top. I just made a giant one and cut it in half. It was easier than making several little ones. And I love how creamy my coffee turns out with the soy milk and macadamia milk. And I just put some yogurt and maple syrup, and it was absolutely delicious. Since the sun was finally shining today, I got outside with the dogs to enjoy the rest of my coffee, enjoy some of that sun on my skin, and just get some fresh air. I love days off where I can do this, because when I'm working 12-hour shifts, I hardly get to be outside, so this is always a treat that I really cherish. And Bino obviously jumped up for some cuddles. He loves to be on my lap. I just got out of the shower and my sourdough looks like it's pretty good now. I'm gonna turn on the oven, let it preheat for 30 minutes, pop this guy in to bake, and I will show you guys what it looks like. So I got this big oval cast iron pot because I wanted to make oval loaves from Pit Boss. It's called. It was a good price, and if you're a nurse, first responder, there's a few different ones that you can get a discount. I think it's about 20% discount if you have the ID.me login, and you get discounts for a bunch of different companies, including this one. So it's pretty big, heavy, obviously. So I'm gonna pop this into the oven to heat up, and I will include the link for these things below as well. My oven is preheated and now it's time to get this bread baking. So I use a tray just to make the transfer easy and just slowly pull off the fabric from the bread. I'm gonna score it now. I got this scoring tool on Amazon. I will link that below as well for anyone who's interested. Make sure your Dutch oven is really nice and hot before you place your bread inside. And this time I added 4 ice cubes, which I saw on Instagram. It helps it steam and puff up, and I wanted to try it for the first time. I just took it out of the oven. I ended up baking it for 45 minutes covered, and then I uncovered it at the very end for like 2 to 3 minutes just to get a little bit more color. I'm gonna let it cool for a bit before I slice into it. It smells so good. So the bread has cooled enough, so I'm gonna slice into it now and show you what it looks like inside. Super, super soft. Look at that. So soft. Smells so good. This is definitely one of my softest loaves to date. Make a really nice sandwich bread. Got some holes in there, and look at that. So, so soft. Yum. I love toasting it and eating it with butter and jam, or toasting it and making some sandwiches with it. Hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Make sure your sourdough is nice and strong and active before you start this recipe. I'm still a beginner at sourdough making, but learning a little bit every day. So as I learn more, I will share with you guys, but I recommend starting. The sooner the better, because it takes a few days to get your sourdough started going. And you can make so many delicious recipes for your family. It's healthier, easier to digest, and your house smells amazing when you're baking bread. So I definitely recommend it. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.